Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm a big fan of striped bass. Look how beautiful this fish is. This is a leaner fish than sea bass. I'm gonna just score the bass, Martin, while you tell us, why is this one of your favorite wines, the sea bass, or the sea bass? Yes, hello.
Sorry. Would do you good right now. So rosé is the sort of forgotten cousin of red and white. You know, in North America, we don't drink a lot of rosé, and in Europe and in France, I mean, it's such a popular wine.
Hugely.
It's definitely the wine you go to the fridge for when the weather's hot.
What would generally be a rosé?
Well, I think you could make rosé out of practically anything. In France, in the south, it's more, you know, could be Syrah, could be Grenache, could be Mourvedre. You know, that would be unusual, but you could. More northern, you would make it out of Cab Franc and Gamay, like in the Loire Valley. It just requires a method. One of the popular ways is called saignée. When in the process of making red wine, some of the juice in the vat is decanted off the red fermenter in order to intensify that wine, and that is sort of sometimes called Vin Gris, sometimes it's called rosé. Another way is blending a red and white wine. You know, it's just a matter of a blend. Sometimes it's a red grape that's fermented totally for its white wine characteristics, and it's not allowed to ferment on its skins, and so it only picks up a little color from the skins, and the rest of the vinification is done like a white wine.
It's got the combination.
Do you think of any other?
That's it. No, you've covered it. Absolutely.
Natalie says, I can't write anything more about it. Okay, so here's a question. So, Jason, you have some shallots for this. So I've got the sea bass salted, a little bit of pepper. I'm thinking of just making a little simple pan juice with the shallots and the rosé. I really like the flavor of rosemary, so I'm just going to put it into the pan without actually chopping it. So we'll get a little flavor of the rosemary, but not too strong. So, tiny bit of butter. Actually, who's kidding? Not a tiny bit of butter. A little more than a tiny bit
of butter when you
right? And the idea of scoring the fish is, truthfully, just stopping it from curling up. It looks a lot nicer. It cooks more evenly.
It penetrates too. I mean, you get more of an even cooking. You know?
Absolutely,
it allows the heat to get through there.
It does. So I'm going to put the rosemary in, and because that little slight browning from that high temperature, we're going to get a bit of a nutty flavor. Very, very simple, and that is essentially all there is to me. When I think of my favorite wine, it's about what you're eating it with, where you were, all of those great things. Natalie, in your mind, how does it work?
Well, I mean, that's a question I get asked a lot. What's your favorite wine? And it's like, well, what is the weather? How am I feeling? But really, your favorite wine is just as you're saying. I mean, it's a function of your mood, what you're eating, who you're with. Exactly, Martin. And
where you are.
Exactly, the way you are. I mean,
many things.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is getting a little bit of color here. I'm going to flip this over because the color is looking really nice on the skin. So let me just see.
You can smell it from here.
Oh. And the rosemary, you know what? Something about just a browning butter and rosemary, it's working beautifully for me. Oh, la, la, la.
And a delicate fish like that with just a simple beurre blanc, like a beurre noisette like that, like a brown butter. Fantastic.
Natalie, as a writer, what is the excitement for you? How do you keep that fresh?
Because I think, you know, there's a reason there aren't orange juice critics. Okay. That's how I usually answer that one. Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's just so much in the glass. There's what's in it, you know, the winemaker's influence, the climate, the soil, but there's all what goes on around the glass, the culture of wine, how we match it with food, how we share it with friends, you know, the health benefits, all kinds of things.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Okay, so I want to make sure that I keep this going now. The fish isn't cooked all the way through, so Jason, I'm going to ask for the shallots. I'm going to essentially do a pan juice and get the shallots giving a little bit of color and a bit of flavor.
Brown bits in
Thank you. All the brown bits. That is the essence of a sauce. Without the brown bits, you don't have a whole lot going on. So have you ever been over to someone's for dinner before where you're actually cooking everything together, or is this...
You know what? We do this quite often, actually.
At your place?
Yeah. I mean,
it's always like this here, always.
My kitchen is like this, too. Usually I'm sending there.
Oh, he's trying to get in there. Yeah,
I see it. Okay, I definitely think that's for you then. The rosé is going to be put in by Martin. There you go, Martin. A little bit of rosé in there. We're going to, because we want to pick up all those great crusty bits. Oh.
You're going to reduce this a bit?
We're going to reduce it down a little bit.
You want more?
Absolutely.
Yes,
This is just a teeny bit.
Okay.
Okay. Nice dry rosé. All the shallots are cooking down. So this will just take probably, I would say, a couple of more minutes. But other than this, we're ready to go. I want to give maybe a little bit of greenery, some little veg to go with this. But we're totally set to go. Are we good for the table?
I'm ready.
Because the last question, and we've been asking this all night, is the rosé going to work with the, do you think? I'm just putting the final touches on the striped bass. Look how great this is. Little shallots, rosé wine, and some rosemary for garnish on the striped bass. And now our big question is, does it work with the rosé wine? We gotta see. Okie dokie, guys. Help yourselves. A little bit of that.
Oh, look at that.
And the rosé definitely works with the napkins. I realized that. I was like,
Yeah, that worked out.
what happened there?
If your food and wine don't work, at least your decor will.
You know, it's a good. You can always fall back on that,
That's
can't you? And our big question that we've been debating all evening: will the rosé work with the fish? I think, Martin, you need to be the judge of that first. Go ahead. Bon appetit.
All right. Did you put any rosemary in your wine? No. Okay. Just wondering.
There's a thought.
Hey, it goes really well.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right, let's try this then.
That sauce is like killer.
It's perfect. for
Try this
fish.
again.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. That's a very full-bodied rosé, which is good because there's some robust flavors here.
You know what I'm going to get now, right?
Oh, yes, I do.
I'm going to get those plums poached in that.
Fantastic.
Can't wait.
Cristal, you guys keep eating. I'm just going to go have a look, see what's going on.
This goes really
I want to show you what happens to have a look at this. Phenomenal. And I don't know, I was just thinking of something very easy that's going to complement that flavor. A little vanilla ice cream. And I have to say, all those spices, the star anise, the cloves, and the cinnamon, really are going to play upon the flavors of the ice wine with the plums.
Batter. Wow.
There we go, my friends.
fantastic.
So the Cristal is, what's in that?
So the Cristal is our sparkling wine. But what we do is, as you know, the process when they do the yeast and they remove it, the sediment, when you top it up with last year's sparkling wine, instead of topping it with sparkling, we top it up with ice wine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a sparkling wine that's been flavored with ice wine.
So it's a
okay.
sweet sparkling.
Okay.
Exactly.
So do you think we wrapped it all up so that the wines really worked with everything we tried to set out to do?
It did. It did. I didn't think it would work this well, and you know, I didn't want to say this at the end. I wanted to be very disagreeable, but I can't. So anyway,
I hereby say nothing worked, and I'm never coming back again.
I'm a critic, so I just want to criticize. No, but, no, they did. They did. They just married so well, all these flavors, and just wow.
So now you have some new favorite wines.
Now, so you have some new
Absolutely.
favorite wines.
Yes, yeah. Now I have an answer for that.
Here's to some new favorite
All
wines,
right.
guys.
Cheers.
Always a pleasure.